Oh, our next speaker has been with Toastmasters. Our fourth speaker this evening is the co-chair for the Speakers Bureau this year. She asks, have you started on your Pathways journey yet? Oh, Suni, you're talking to me. She's been a corporate trainer for more than 20 years, a member of District 12's Pathways education team. This training is called Getting Started with Pathways. Whether you're a novice or a pro, you'll find this training session helpful. For the novice, she'll take you through pathways from logging into Toastmasters site all the way through completing a level. If you're already a pro, you'll learn how to use a Pathways education team's materials so you can provide training and support for your own club. Please help me welcome the one and only Suni Gayle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. By a show of hands, and please put your hand up and hold it up because I have to flip through two screens. Are you currently active in Pathways? Please raise your hand.
Define active.
Doing Pathways projects, not your own and not using books. Okay, so most of you, that's great. And then of course there are several people with their cameras off. I am a member of the District 12 Pathways education team, and we have created a training that goes all the way from I am brand new to Toastmasters, or I'm a longtime Toastmaster but have never been online, all the way through how to track your progress. And if you are VP of Education or one of the other officers, how you can run reports and approve people's projects in Pathways online. So if you are struggling with any of those things, please reach out to the district education team and we will be happy to work with you. If you're a club officer, we work with you one-on-one, or if you'd like us to come to your club and present, we're happy to do that as well. And I do have a URL where you can fill out a form to submit that request. I'll put that in the chat at the end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a taste of the Getting Started in Pathways training because it's a very long presentation, and I think just sitting here watching me go through slide by slide when you're not in a meeting trying to learn, I think that's really kind of boring. Just know that you can have the slides when this is over. You can go through them at your own pace. If you're an officer, if you're comfortable with Pathways, feel free to present the slides within your own club. If there's time, I do have a couple other things to show you about Pathways, and there will also be plenty of time for questions. All right, so let me share my screen. Getting started in Pathways. Let me just move these things off. There are step-by-step instructions that go along with this slide presentation. And so you want to be sure to pass that out to your club members before you start the training so that they can follow along. There are 10 steps that are covered in this instruction manual. And again, I am not going to go through all 10. I'm not going to go through all however many 90 slides or however many are in this deck. I'm just going to skim over some things. But I want you to have a sense of what's included here so that you feel comfortable going through on your own at another time. So first, you're going to create a Toastmasters account, and there you just go to toastmasters.org, you log in, you create a password. One of the things I'd like to point out is there is no create a password option. You have to use the forgot password option to create a new password if you're signing in for the first time. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go in and choose your path. And to do that, you just go to the Pathways menu, click Go to Basecamp, and then the first box says Continue to Path Selection. We recommend that everyone go through the Select Digital Resources option versus using the printed materials, because when you go into the digital option, you can print out any project. Whereas here, if you're going with printed materials, you have to pay an extra $25 on top of the extra 20 you're paying for the path to begin with. So just go with the Select Digital and then print out on paper the project. And the instructions on how to do that are in this manual. Once you've picked your path, you're going to open it. And again, you just go to Pathways on the Toastmaster website, click Go to Basecamp, and this screen opens, and there is the Go to Basecamp option. Now, to access your actual path with all the projects, you click Paths and Learning, and they refer to it as the education transcript. One thing I want to point out on this screen, right below this is the speech evaluations. So you can access all the evaluations for any project, whether you're signed up for it or not, using this button right here. A lot of times, if I'm just giving a speech like I'm called on at the last minute, I'm the hot seat, and I know I want to give a pathway speech, I'll just jump right here to the speech evaluations, pick out the evaluation I want, download it, and email it off to my evaluator. You don't have to go through the whole project and all of the different screens. You can just access those evaluations. They're all available right here. So you'll go into Paths and Learning, Education Transcript, and then this is the screen that opens. The paths that you have selected are listed here. And if you didn't know, right now, Toastmasters is allowing anyone who renewed their membership to get a free path. So you don't have to pay the $20. So I highly encourage you to take advantage of that if you haven't already. The paths that you're enrolled in will be listed here. You can see I'm in Dynamic Leadership and Engaging Humor. Then you'll click the Open Curriculum button. And when you do that, you're actually now looking at the projects. Every path has 5 levels. And so you would select which level you want to access just by clicking the button here on the left. Remember, you can do any project, any level, any time, any order. You don't have to start at level 1 and start with the first project. So for example, you can see here I've selected level 2. Here are the 3 speaking projects that are in level 2. And if I wanted to activate any of them, I could click the button there. Okay, so you choose your level. Your projects are here. And then you click the button, activate, and it'll change to the word launch, and then it would open the project. I want to point out in level 3, you have 1 required project and then 2 elective. Okay, so for dynamic leadership, negotiate the best outcome is the required project, but then you have elective projects that you can choose from. So if I were to click View Details, now I see this list: deliver social speeches, use presentation software, and so on. Here's another little tip. If I know I'm giving a speech or even presenting outside of Toastmasters, like a meeting at work, I'll go ahead and jump into the elective menus, and I'll just pick one of these projects because the list is quite extensive, and I'll just use that towards my Pathways credit. You're going to click Activate to launch, and then you are now in the project details. Again, I'm not going to go through this screen by screen. The things that you need to know, though, about the project are this. You have to assess yourself before you give your speech, and then you have to assess yourself after you give the speech in order to get credit for having completed the project. Let me say that again. You have to assess yourself before you give the speech, and you have to assess yourself after you give the speech in order to get credit for the project. If you don't do both of these things, then Pathways does not show that you've completed the project. So what you'll do is there's a menu here at the bottom. Now, if you're going through it for the first time, I recommend you start on the first slide and work your way screen by screen, just so you get the feel and you see all the information on the project. But when you become more accomplished, you can jump to the menu that's down here at the bottom, and it will take you right to the assessment. So you're going to assess your skills before. And I want to point out there's a red X over the arrow here. because you have to assess yourselves, in this case, on all 6 different items before you move off the assessment, okay? So you're not going to use the arrow, you're going to click next. And again, I know I'm going through this very fast, it's all written out in the instructions. You'll keep clicking next, assess yourself on all 6 criteria. When you get to the last one, you're going to see the submit button. Be sure to submit before you click the arrow to the right. And you'll know you did it right if you see this feedback screen, okay? So you have to assess yourself before. You also have to assess yourself after. So here again, you can use that shortcut menu, assess your skills after. Same thing, it's the exact same assessment as before. Be sure to go through all 6 screens, or 5 screens in this case, in this example. When you get to the last one, you see the submit button, and then you can click the arrow to the right. You know you did it right when you see the screen that says there's before and after feedback. Most people think, oh, if I see the congratulations screen, I must have done it right. No, you'll see this screen if you just advance through the slides, even if you don't do the assessment. So be sure you do both the before and after assessments. As I said, even if you don't want to do the online projects in Pathways, I say go with the digital because you can print out the project. It's very simple. When you're in the project, you'll go to your evaluation, and there it is, print my project. When you click that, the page opens up as a PDF, and you can just hit the print button in the upper right-hand corner. That prints out everything that's included in the slides that you're seeing in the project. So I highly encourage you to go this route, even if you are afraid or timid about doing the online method. Another nice thing is within the project, you can print out the evaluation resource. So this is the evaluation form that you'll download and then send to your evaluator if you're meeting virtually, or print it out on paper and give it to your evaluator if you're meeting in person. One of the nice things I like about this evaluation form is if you email it ahead of time, your evaluator can actually fill out the form directly using the computer. They don't have to print it out and write it by hand and then scan it or mail it to you. You can actually type directly into the form. So you can type the comments here in the boxes. You just click on the number when you're doing the rating. It's very convenient. You just save it and then email it back to the person who gave the speech. The last thing I want to point out, and you'll notice there are instructions if you want to save your evaluation form in Pathways Basecamp, you can do that. If you want to enter dates for when you've completed other meeting roles like grammarian or Toastmaster, there's a way to do that as well. The last thing though I want to show you here is when you complete the level, you'll notice there are 3 projects here in this level 1, but it says I'm only 75% complete. And that's because you have to go to the 4th item after you've done all 3 and click activate. Okay. When you click activate, then the button changes to say mark complete. When you click mark complete, it'll say status pending completion approval. This means that the message has gone to your VPE and they need to go into Pathways and mark you as having completed it. Once they've done that, that's when your club gets credit for you having completed the level. Toastmasters has come up with some fun things as far as rewarding yourself or rewarding your members. Of course, the certificate is nice. As the VPE, you can go in and print out anyone's certificate once they've completed the level. The person, of course, can print it out on their own once they've completed it. There are also Pathways pins available, and the pins are silver while you're working through the path and gold once you've completed it. And then they have these little dongles that hang off the pin that indicate what level you're at. So this is kind of fun, like if you go to TLI or in your club meeting, you can visually indicate what path you're working and what level you're on. I know I went through that really fast. Are there any questions? So
Suni, how do you upload the evaluation if you have it in paper?
you would either have to take a picture of it and email it to yourself so it's on your computer and then you can upload it, or if you have like a scanner, you can scan it. The better thing, of course, is if your evaluator fills out the form on the computer and emails it to you, that makes it much easier. I just want to show you. So I have the pin. You can see the pin and how the dongle hangs off. You can see about the size of it. I just think it's really fun. You know, we love our Pathways, our Toastmaster pins. And so the pin itself is about $8, and then the little dongle thing is less than $2. Also, there's this pin as well. It just says Toastmasters Pathways on it. Something else that's kind of fun.
Suni, Dr. Michael Alexander had a question.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got actually some comments to share with you. One of the most, first of all, I have got people who are not sufficiently competent with a computer to be comfortable without going to paper. But one of the advantages of doing it electronically is that you can do a PDF, you can print out that PDF and send it to your evaluator in advance. Because some of these projects, the presentation is an oral report on a project, but it's not the project. So for instance, if the project is write a compelling blog, they can't tell you if you've written a compelling blog based on your speech. So the evaluator should be informed in advance and have a chance to look at the blog and other projects, which is, I think, much better.
That is a great idea.
The other thing which I want to kind of warn as a cautionary tale is the first couple of projects I did, being confused, I filled out the evaluation, the pre-evaluation, and then got confused because there was an unfilled evaluation. So I filled out the evaluation only to discover I filled out the pre and then the post, and I got credit for the project without actually doing it in the middle.
Yes, that is possible.
So, be aware of that. The last, if you'll forgive me for one more, the last thing I kind of want to warn you on is a lot of people do not understand the proper tricks for filling out a PDF that has been mailed to them. You have to save it and then go into Acrobat because the browser is not capable of saving it. So yes, as Marika is pointing out, it is fillable, but you must save it first. Otherwise, if you do not fill it out in Acrobat, it will not save. And so your changes won't work.
And you can get Acrobat Reader, which is free. You don't have to pay for anything.
Yes, absolutely. But don't do it in the browser. That's where there's a problem.
Thank you, Michael. Those are fantastic tips. I'm gonna make note of those for our education team. All right, I'm gonna show you some. Oh, Pierre, did you have a question?
I'm sorry. Suni, I have to tell you that your presentation warms my heart. I'm currently the Vice President of Education for our club out in Hemet, San Jacinto. And we have run into that problem where a vast majority of our membership was not going onto Pathways for a variety of reasons, some of them fearing, the digital age, and others on the onset of Pathways coming on, I found the system to be very cumbersome. Yes. I think they smoothed out a lot of things and it turned a lot of people off. So the long and short of it is I had to develop an educational program that I would say mirrors yours to about 90%, right? So I have presentations that I have to give that I gave already to my club, and then I saved it as a PDF as a sort of a walkthrough, so somebody can just open it up and walk through and go through the process of registering for Toastmasters and pathways, so on and so forth. But all that to say that, anyways, it warms my heart to know that, okay, yes, I recognize the problem, and I'm not the only one who saw the problem and brought a solution forward, okay? So thank you so much.
Yeah, kudos to the trio for putting the team together, right? Because there are so many clubs that are having trouble, and we want to make sure our district gets to distinguish, President's Distinguished. And so we're really on a mission to make sure as many clubs get on pathways and going as possible. Now, we did come up with some additional tools to help clubs and members. And so I'm going to show you these tools that are available. All of these materials will be emailed to you after the meeting. Let me just share this. Share screen 2, F5. All right. So this deck is called the Pathways Curriculum. And what it is it's a way to learn about the different paths and then track your progress. There are, of course, 11 paths, and they're all listed here. Every path has 5 levels, okay? So now you've already seen that in the previous deck, so I'm going to go through this kind of fast. Project 1 in every path you have to give 5 speeches. Level 2, you're giving 3 speeches. Level 3, 3 speeches. Level 4 is only 2 speeches. Level 5 is 3 projects. And so it's a total of 16 different projects in any path. Remember, the first path is free. Each additional path is $20, but you can get a free path if you renewed your membership before December 31 of this year. There is a handout that's available where we describe all the paths. It's the full pathway curriculum. And so when you get that handout, you'll see each column is the path and each row is the level. And it tells you what are the projects that are in every level and what are the electives. So, for example, here is dynamic leadership. You see a summary, and by the way, all these descriptions and everything came off the website. I didn't make anything up here. So this is just a paper version of what you can see online. You see the summary and the description. It indicates if it's available printed, but remember that you have to pay the extra $25 if you're going to do that. Then here's level 1, and here are the 3 projects that are in level 1. Level 1 projects are the same for every path. So everyone says, oh my God, I have to give my icebreaker 11 times. Well, what we suggest is customize your speech for the path. So when I did my icebreaker in dynamic leadership, I introduced myself from a leadership perspective. When I did it for engaging humor, I tried to be funny. I don't know how effective it was, but customize these 3 projects for the path that you're in. Then level 2, these vary depending on the path, but all of level 2 includes an introduction to Toastmasters mentoring. So again, customize the speech for whatever path you're on because they all have introduction to mentoring. Remember I said level 3 has 1 required project and then you can choose from the electives. And here again, this is where this paper is handy because if you're giving a speech somewhere outside of Toastmasters or you don't have a project, what I do is I look at all of the electives, right, from all the paths, and then I just download the evaluation from that Pathways Basecamp area that I showed you before. So then I can have an evaluation form for any project that I'm giving. Level 4, you have to give 1 speech and 1 elective. And then level 5, you're going to give 2 speeches and do a project. Okay, so that's how the different levels and projects lay out. I'm going to skip over to the Pathways progress sheet. This is another handout that you're going to receive, and this handout contains all 11 paths and all 5 levels for each path and all the projects on 1 page. Okay, so on this one handout, now the rows are the paths, and the columns are going to be the levels. And here's how you use this. You're going to use this form to track your own progress. So here is dynamic leadership, level 1. And level 2, you can see the required projects. What you can do is, when you give the speech, cross it out. If you belong in multiple clubs, put the club number and the date that you delivered it. If you want to track all those details, otherwise just cross it out when you've done it. Remember I said in level 3, 1 required project and 2 electives. So the required project is listed, and then you have empty bullets where you can write in the electives that you decide to do. And again, once you've delivered it, cross it out, write in the club and the date, or don't. And you can just list out which electives you want to complete at each level. And as I said before, you can work any path, any level, any project, anytime. Okay, any questions about that? And again, I know I'm going super fast, but you will receive all of these things to play with, including the slides. Any questions?
Yes, I do. You said there are 5 projects in level 1,
Yes.
and I only saw 3 listed. So the other 2 are electives?
No. So, and this confuses a lot of people on how this works. One of the projects is evaluation and I want to say evaluating yourself. What you have to do, if you follow it exactly as it's written in the project, you have to give a speech and get evaluated. Then you have to give the same speech or a different speech, but you have to incorporate the evaluation feedback that you received. And then you also have to evaluate someone. So you have to serve as the evaluator. So that's why there are 5 projects in level 1, because that evaluation component is 3 different projects.
Exactly right, Suni. Thank you for explaining.
Thank you. I know so many people argue with our team on this, but I'm telling you, that's how the project works.
People get confused. You said it perfectly.
Yes.
So you said something about everybody getting all these forms in the email. How are they going to get those? So you have everybody's email that you're going to send it out to?
Yes. So when you registered, you had to give your email. Hopefully you put in your correct email so we can send it that way. And I'll do it, Tom. You don't have to do it.
Good, good.
Thank you, Suni, so much. And I really appreciate that. So look what we had tonight.
I'm sorry. Can I just show one more thing?
All right, because we have a few things to say before you go.
All right. I will do this really quickly. So you want to celebrate your club's successes. And so this is a slide presentation that I did for my club. And I'm just showing this to give you an idea of how you can do this. First, I went through what are our pathways accomplishments. Here are everyone that achieved level 1. Here's everyone that achieved level 2, level 3, and we didn't have any level 4s, but we did have a level 5. So showing the certificate, be sure to include people's faces, because in this Zoom day and age, the pictures are really the best way to go. And then one of the trainings that we offer is how to track your club's progress as the VPE. So this is our chart. And what I did here was I said, here are the goals from the dashboard. And so I indicated, okay, who completed the different levels that accomplished this award here? And then here's level 2. And so I highlighted who completed those levels. Now we need 2 people to complete the 2 more levels. And so I showed, oh, Candy and Susan are very close. So, and I encouraged them to do their Pathways project as their next speech. Here's level 3, level 4, 5 or DTM. And then we have 1 person who's very close to achieving level 4 and 1 person close to achieving DTM. And then the last requirement is that you have to have 4 new members. Our club has 3 new members. We just need 1 more, and so I encourage them to invite someone to visit our club. So I encourage you to do something special in your meeting to recognize people who have achieved different accomplishments within Pathways. Be sure to include their pictures and just encourage them to keep working. All right, now I'm done, Michael.
All right, thank you, Suni.